Buenos Dias, Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a motherfucking ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a motherfucking smack addict. Bye-ya. Bye-ya. Orale, as you can tell by that thumbnail right there. The last of a dying breed. The last of a lost era, man. Okay, I was chopping it up with someone the other day. I did a live, right? In a menudo style in a direct fashion. I have to tell you guys about the conversation because this conversation kind of broke my heart. But at the same time, it was like reminiscent with a very close friend, an old friend from the other side. And that's what would trip you out. Okay, those of us that went through the California Youth Authority, it's like a fraternity. Okay, especially through the 90s, it's like a club, homes. Didn't matter what side you were from, whether you were an Africano, a Sureño, a Norteño, a Wood brother, right? Asian, didn't matter. Everyone that was there went through a lot of the same struggles and the same emotions, right? Being apart from your family, being younger. It'll fuck with your head. Messes up your head, man. It turns you into a beast, a savage, someone who just doesn't give a fuck, an O-dog, right? So the other night I'm doing a live and just doing my thing, and there's a guy that pops up, you know, shout out to the homeboy John Diesel. He has a little channel, make sure you guys tap in. But he pops in and he starts asking me questions that only those that were there at that particular time in that place would know. Okay, and come to pass, he's like, "Hey, bro, that is you." And I said, "What's up?" He said, "You're Skinner, Holmes, from Merced." "Yeah, that's me." "So I'm scared every day, all day. With that one dude, the skinny Mexican, that all tatted with the big peepots, that's me, right?" He said, "Yeah, hey, bro, trip out." He's like, "I'm gonna try to get a hold of you." I said, "Get my number through mutual acquaintances and let's pop it, right? Let's pop it." So he definitely calls me, and I start to remember him. You know, I remember him being on a compa in Carl Holton with me. Now this particular compa we were on was the who's who of that institution, and he'll verify that. He'll stamp it. That's facts, right? Meaning you had to be somebody within your movement. You had to have status or carry weight there at that particular institution. Okay. He was on that compa with me. 100% facts. You know, he, wasn't a Sureño, wasn't a Norteño. He was a border brother, right? A BB out of Oakland. Now, his particular group at that time rocked with the Southsiders. They rocked together, you know, and he had told me, he said, "Man, I felt a little disrespected when you told the story about my homeboy who ended up becoming somebody in Nellis." And I said, "Brother, I didn't do nothing but state facts." I said, "At the end of the day, bro, you know, that's how it went down. It was unfortunate that it would happen to be your homeboy that got hit with the rock, bro. And I'm no disrespect to his name, but I'm just telling the real stories of what really happened." He says, "Oh, I know that's facts, Holmes, because we heard about it up north," because he was locked up north. He goes, "When you guys did that, word travels throughout the system. Same thing with the prison system. If something happens in Pelican Bay, they hear about it in Chino. If something happens in Chino, they hear about it in Folsom." You feel me? That's just the way of the Mockingbird, Holmes. That's how it goes. You know, it might not be there. The information, well, now with the phone starts getting there, right? Information might not be there that exact day, Holmes, but they're going to find out within that week. That's facts. People travel. Buses go. Now with phones, "KJ, guess what? The homeboy just got an ass whoop." "Yeah, the other homeboy, we got caught giving him mamon." "Yeah, what should we do?" "What do you mean, what should you do, puto?" You know what I mean? DP, the homeboy, for getting his ass whooped. "What about the one that got him on one?" "I don't know. I can't call it like an alcoholic." What the fuck, right? Some weird shit going on. Trip out. So anyways, we start to conversating and we're reminiscing. We're taking it back. We got that unfortunate business cleared up out of the way. You know, he was feeling some type of way about his homeboy. I told him, "Hey, there's no disrespect, bro. It's a real story, Holmes. You know, I'm not going to lie and sugarcoat nothing." And he said, "Nah, I respect that." He's a very well-known guy out of Oakland. Okay. This is a guy's name who carried weight. Again, I said, everybody that was on that compa with us, were somebody. Okay. That's just the way it worked out. That's just the way it is. Everybody either, and it's not like, "Oh yeah, we became lawyers and doctors, and detectives." Charlie, Holmes, everybody went to prison or they're dead. but everyone within the group that they were doing something with, elevated to, I mean, we had several NF members, guys from down, I mean, there's just a lot of people that came from that particular compa right there that we were on, which was Tioga in Carlton in the early 90s or mid 90s, 94, 95. So trip out. We're conversating. We're talking, hey, what's up with this guy? Remember this guy? Do you remember this counselor? Do you remember that? And like I said, it felt good. It felt like talking to an old brother, because he could recognize exactly what I went through and I could recognize what he went through. Not a lot of people can identify that. You know, with nowadays, it's a lost era. It's something that people, unless you were there, Holmes, you'll never experience it. You'll never understand what the gibberish that we're talking, how we're getting at each other, the slang words we're using. You know, when we're using the word knack, you know, I didn't have to fucking, explain it to him. Oh, that's what this means. He already knew. When it comes to throwing fucks, when it comes to this, when it comes to that, there's just this lingo, this CYA language that we had that we adapted to. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was like playing ping pong, going back and forth. We all know where the ball's supposed to go, Holmes, but will it get there? Now, watch out. We're chopping it up. He's a righteous individual. Now, you got to understand that at the time we were in Ellis, or we were in Carlton, he was my enemiga. I was his enemiga. But there was a lot of respect on that compa. A lot of respect. Even though we were at Guerra 24/7, it wasn't like it was fucking all the time full go, Holmes. You know, he'll tell you on that compa, Norteños and Southsiders used to team up together to be handball partners. It wasn't about where you were from. It was about how good you could fucking play handball, because we used to have tournaments and the homeboys are trying to win. So I was getting the homeboy Spanky from Gilas. I remember when he slid through. The homeboy Gato from Alviso. My boy Beebs from the town. Several, Conejo from San Jose, shout out, respects, my brother. So many different homeboys and so many different Southsider homies that were good people too. You know what I mean? Just great people, man. And then I started asking about, you know, because he had a ranfla. One thing about the Southsiders in CYA, they had ranflas, meaning it was a group of four or five homeboys that they kicked it with. That was their ranfla, right? And I remember that there was some dissension there. There was a big split because an Africano Southsider had got there. I forget his name right off the top. But he had got to that compa, and a lot of the Southsiders didn't want to fuck with him. They didn't want to bust after him. They didn't want to eat after him. And because they were going to war with the Africanos at that time in Basel, OH Close, certain places, so they felt some type of way. They had just come from one place where it wasn't cool to do this, you know, vice versa, either way. Blacks weren't allowed to eat after them. They weren't allowed to eat after them. So they were going to fucking fulfill that part of the program. Like, fuck that. It's right. But he was a black Southsider. So a lot of the Vatos from the Valle, SGV, SFV, and I remember this incident because we started to talk about it, and I was like, I remember that shit. They broke away. Their ranflas were over here. Like, nah, we ain't fucking with that. And a lot of the hoods, Florencia 18, Vatos from 38, Vatos like that, from the LA area, the San Diego area, you know, the cities, they chose to rock with the Africano homie, right? And it was all good. They were all homeboys, homies. They just wouldn't fuck with them. And it was vice versa. That's just how it was, right? Why it was different. So we got to conversating, and he was like, hey, you want to trip out on this? I said, what? He said, my whole ranfla is dead, bro. I said, what? He said, I'm the last remaining survivor of my ranfla. I was like, fuck, bro. I said, who was your ranfla? And then he started naming individuals. The one that popped out to me and stood out to me was Boxer from Rebels 13, right? Rest in peace, Holmes. That vato was super sureño, okay? In every form or fashion. We're talking about pants pulled up, creased, baby cuff, Cortezes, Holmes, on swole, big old Rebels 13 on his stomach. Made sure he took the shirt off so everyone's eye was busted, right? All he did was fucking dips and pull-ups on the yard with the big old Rebels 13 on his stomach, just mean mugging everyone, right? Wasn't but 140 pounds, I'm soaking wet, but he had chest on that he didn't get in Preston, right? Just on swole. Just didn't even like his own homeboys. Was a fucking mean mugging ass dude, right? And I remember I used to say, I want to get that motherfucker, right? Well, get him then. But see, the way that my getting is working today, you know what I mean? I'm going to go ahead and hold because he was a big boy. As far as fucking just chunky, right? Stocky. But really, now that you look at it, he was only fucking 4 foot whatever and 140 pounds. You know, it was just different back then. But he's like, yeah, Boxer's gone, bro. And I was like, fuck. He started naming Crazy Boy from Florencia, respect. So rest in peace. I've spoke on him before, man. Me and that dude had a good relationship as far as in Ellis, all the way up to Carl Holton. Crazy Boy was that one, Holmes. He was that one. He was that Southsider, Holmes, that stands out to me for the rest of my life, being with that business. Holmes, he had a big old F-13 on his face, which he put on there just to bust people's eyes. ¿Sabes qué? So I know the deal, man. I went and did the same thing when I went down south with the 14 over mine. So that way, you know, motherfuckers don't approach you. They know exactly where you're coming from. The end of a lost era. People don't do that nowadays. They don't have the ways about themselves. That was real gangbanging back then. You know, we'll permanently mark our bodies just to let the other team know, Holmes, strike out. That's it, strike out. You know what I mean? Get off where you're mad at. That's no hesitation. You know, there wasn't none of this, oh, don't post my name to social media because I'm trying not to have them pull up on my location. Holmes, we posted it on our face. Come pull up to the location. That's it, right? We're right here located on this compa. Anyways, that building had a lot of individuals that, like I said, were the who's who of that particular institution. And I think the Placas wanted it that way. They felt that if they kept all the North and the South that were not shot callers, I hate to use that word because we weren't calling shots, but more influential, right? The ones that had more influence and a lot of respect, they kept us all segregated and together on one compa, just based on we had heavy influence on what would happen in the school area, what would happen, you know, on different compas, rules and regulations that people were going to abide by. Now, you got to understand, we had to live what we say. So if we're over here on a compa chilling, playing handball together, eating salpita, and just everyone just living, then we can't dictate a program out there to the linea like, hey, you vatos need to get off with these fools. Fuck these fools. Nah, but they're like, what? Well, see, the way that you're getting off works, right, should mean that you guys get off first, or they're kicking it, going fucking pinching each other's butts. And then over here, we'll follow suit. That's it. You know what I mean? So that kind of was like, I think the administration's basic get down homes to put us in that situation where they weren't tripping. You know, hey, we'll get them all together, get them comfortable. There's going to be a lot of mutual respect because a lot of us had been different places. I had been in Nellis. I had been in Preston. I know the homeboy John Diesel had been in DeWitt. Not DeWitt. I think he had been in Chad. You know, several different places. NRCC, you know, being from Oakland, you know, he came to the Northern California reception. And like I said, he rocked BBs. And at that time, the Border Brothers did rock with the Southsiders. There was no difference there. They had their own policies, their own politics, or whatever they did, street hood shit. But at the end of the day, Holmes, that's who they rocked with. Okay, now we got to conversating about a lot of different things, and Placas came up. We were talking about the old counselors and everything, and it just, I damn near shed a tear because when that man told me his whole ranfla was gone, I was like, wow, bro, how real does it get? How real does it get that you're taitas? So you have taitas when you're locked up, people that you fuck with, period. Those are your homeboys, your camaradas, your taitas. Mine was Shorty from Casitas, from Salas. That was my taita in prison. That was my boy right there, right? If he was going to rock, I was going to rock. No question. I don't give a fuck at that. What the fuck? Let's go. It's straight up. Let's go. Let's not even fucking pass, go and collect 200. Let's just go, right? Tell me when to go. Right? I was going to get dumb. And that's just how that was. And then you start to develop, you know, there's other taitas. One thing I could say about the homeboy John, that we, you know, the homeboy John Diesel that we talked, he definitely... He was like, hey, bro, when I got out, I tapped in with this homeboy. I tapped in with that homeboy. And I go, you know what? That's crazy because I tapped in. I picked Shorty up his first day out. I tapped in with the homeboy Psycho from Grifas, which he did too, which is crazy, right? You know, I tapped in with several of the homeboys. You know, Big Smiles. I tapped in with Conejo. I'm staying tapped in with Conejo from San Jose. That's the homeboy, right? Gato from Alviso. Dirt Monk from Alviso. Just several homeboys. Creeper from Hanford. Now, you got to understand that these homeboys... that was the one and only place where all of us kept our word to each other on some real shit. If we said, hey, Holmes, we're going to tap in when we get out. We got you, whatever you need. There was that brotherhood, Holmes. There was that love. Motherfuckers did that, bro. Motherfuckers traveled and actually tapped in and kicked it with the homie. Whereas in prison, you pillow talk, Holmes. You tell yourself, hey, when we get out, we're going to do this. You know, you get a picture, get a picture, get a picture. You know what I mean? And all this shit that you guys are going to fucking, these grand schemes you guys are going to do. And then when you get out, you're like, you're smoking the pipote. He's way over there fucking on the other side of the land smoking the blue, right? There's no more loyalty, Holmes, and no more realness when it comes to that. See, in our days when I was younger, that's why I say it's the last of a lost era. If we said it, we meant it, bro. You know, and that's not just coming from the Norte, also the Sur, the BBs, Holmes, the Africano brothers. You know, we started talking about a couple of Africano brothers. I say, you remember the homeboy Waymo? Shout out to Oakland, man. 2-8s, Waymo, right? Big Mo. And he was like, shit, I hooked up with them. I was fucking with them tough in the town. And I was like, bro, It's a trip, He's like, oh yeah, everybody in that community, everybody from that era, we all fucked with each other one way or another. Because real recognizes real, game recognized game in the yay, man. You know what I mean? We recognized game because we were all some righteous dudes. We had that much respect for each other. Didn't matter where you were from, because we knew at the end of the day, every single person on that compita, every person on that compa would get off where they were mad at. Quicker as fuck, right? And it just felt good to reminisce with someone who was actually there, but from the other side. I got to get a perspective, a view from the other side. You know, what they were thinking about us, how they were feeling in the situation. I knew how the Norteños felt. We were deep. So we were like, hey, homes, this is Norte. This is our compa. This is our building. This is our institution. We ain't tripping, homes. One-on-ones all day long. We ain't stomping no one out, homes. We ain't going to belittle ourselves or bring ourselves down to looking like some bullies. We're not bullies, Stacks. Say it with your chest, right? We weren't going to do curls. We were going to do none of that. We were going to fucking play our position, homes, like the position is to be played, homes. Some righteous motherfucking professional individuals, homes, handling their business. Whether we were young or not, that didn't matter. You got to understand, by the time this year, 94, 95, we were all 16, 17, 18 years old. Some guys 20. Motherfuckers was with that business. Motherfuckers will chop your shit off. Straight up. No, I ain't talking about the people. I'm talking about your head, right? And that's just what it is. You got to understand that there was a mutual respect. There's so much respect, bro, that we crossed those lines, those imaginary lines, and we all chopped it up, chilled. It was like it was the one compa, the one place I've ever been, man, where none of that mattered. North and South didn't matter. This was when it was the thick of it. This is when we were rocking. We were rolling. We were handling business, right? But like I said, this was the who's who of the institution, and it worked. It worked. When you got a whole bunch of individuals that are of like-mindednness or that think the same way and move the same way, and they ain't fucking around, you know, two things can happen. One, they can get off where they're mad at, right? It could be an ugly situation. Or two, homes, they could all just say, you know what? We know what you're about. You know what we're about. Let's just get along, homes, and make the best of this bullshit. And that's exactly what we chose to do. But getting the outlook from his perspective on the Norte, because, you know, he was on the other side, he was like, hey, bro, it was good. We met some good homeboys. It was all cool. And we got to talking about certain homeboys that he actually hooked up with when he got out. Norteños and I hooked up with, you know, and just chilled. And these were homeboys. You know, and it was a trip, just the way things worked out and the way things continue to work out in life. It's like we gravitate towards each other and we find each other. He recognized me 2 weeks ago. He said, I thought that was you, fool. I said, well, motherfucker, you should have tapped in. You know what I mean? And he did. And we conversated from fucking 9 o'clock at night to 2 in the morning. And it was just a whole lot of getting back into, hey, what's going on with your life now? How it all turned out. Last of a lost era, homes. We got to, after thinking about the numbers, 90% of the people that were on that comp are dead, homes. The other 8% are doing life in prison. 2% made it, homes. To what degree of made it? I can't call it like an alcoholic. The wind blew, but they made it lightweight. It's up to people like me and him, homes. Two different sides, same compa, same time era. Enemigas, homes, to establish this right here on YouTube for the raza. He has the same intentions I do, man. It's all about the brown people, because even back then, homes, that was our narrative. It was all about the brown people. We did what we had to do, homes, what was told of us to do, but not all of us enjoyed it. I did, though. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Get over here at this. You're from the other side. Watch out. I'm gonna show you how to do it just nice, right? Anyway, sass. But for the most part, you know, growing up, as I started to become older and more wiser, I started to realize we were all the same, homes, and it was about pushing an agenda for the brown people. You know, and that's just plain and simple and period, you know. When you could, when you've went through something like we went through that's unexplainable, the situations, the time era, you know, the whole get down, then you could talk, right? When people are like, hey, man, you don't fuck that shit, Holmes. We're talking about motherfucker. Listen, bro, listen. We're talking about these, brother. We're talking about there wasn't none of this. If you can get one of these, Holmes, and handle it, well, do it then, bitch, right? These, Holmes. Every fucking day, all day. That's all you had. That's it. If you think your homeboys were going to fucking back your play, homes, if you didn't use these, oh, it was going to be your homeboys that you were going to use these on you. That's just the era that I come from, homes. I come from some real shit. You know, like I said, I stamped this guy, John Diesel. He'll tell you he was on the same compa with me. He knows my get down, homes. He knows how I was rocking in that motherfucker. And that's just what it is, you know. Now I'm rocking for the people, by the people, for the brown people. You guys got a motherfucking soldado right here. You just don't even know it yet, right? Anyways, with that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. Just a couple stories I wanted to tell. I hope that you do everything that you want to do, man. Just remember, time is of an essence, man. Time will slip by every day. Every day there's another day. Hopefully, you know, make do, man. Go out there and get it for your familia. You already know what it is. With that being said, man, I'm going to get the fuck up on out of here, man. If you like me, hit that like and subscribe one time with a thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. If he's going to be the head, then where's the crown? I'm going to continue to strive and struggle for what I truly believe in, and that's unity of all motherfucking people, bro. Coming together. The brown man, norte, sur. We did it before. I said, let's do it again, homes. Bang, bang. The gun.